is when my life and that is when my life changed on August 15th. Uh, August 15th, I was admitted into Centera Norfolk Hospital, and that's when the challenge began. I had no idea what I was walking into. I thought maybe I would be having one surgery and that would be it, and I would be, on my road to recovery. Well, that wasn't the case. God chose another plan. And on August 15th, I came into the hospital, and the first thing they performed was an epidural. The epidural did not work. So we ended up going in for a little further and doing MRIs and CAT scans. And we found out that I only had 5% nerve flow from my L1. If you know anything about L1, that's your lumbar, from my L1 all the way down. So practically, I had zero spinal fluid that was going down past my L1. So the doctors were amazed that I was even able to walk for the past several years. I was a walking miracle already. I had my first surgery, and this is where the story begins. My first surgery, which was only supposed to take approximately 5 hours, ended up being almost 10 to 11 hours long. And that's a very long surgery. They started at 1 p.m. and they did not finish until midnight. That surgery came with a lot of complications. I ended up developing, from laying on my stomach for so long, I developed sepsis in my leg. Now, remember, I went there for back surgery. We ended up doing, for my back, we did a spinal infusion in my back from my L2 through L5. And we did artificial disc implants in my L2 through L5. And from laying on that table for so long, like I was saying, I developed sepsis in my leg. So now, not only do I have back problems, I have leg problems. I went about 4 or 5 days after surgery, and I woke up one day and my leg was the size of 5 watermelons. And that's a pretty scary feeling. And we did CAT scans. The doctor said, well, we're going to kind of wait. We're going to take it day by day. The next day I woke up, I felt my body shutting down second by second. I felt death. I knew I was dying. And when they said, we're going to take it day by day, I told the surgeons that were in the room, I said, if we take it day by day, I will not survive. At that moment, they kind of looked at me and they looked at each other and they put a little autograph on my leg. And the next thing you know, I was in the OR 3 hours later. I had surgery on my leg to remove infection. And the doctors told me, Mr. Treadway, you were right. We saved your life by minutes, if not by hour. That's God speaking through me, and God saved my life. That one surgery in my leg turned into 5 surgeries. They kept my leg wide open, and they had it connected to a tube. During those 5 surgeries, every time they would open up my leg, they removed dead muscle tissue that, if they didn't remove it, was going to kill me. In the meantime, I was having more complications from my back. We are now talking August 15th. We're talking September. Now we're talking October. And I had my second back surgery. They did cultures on my back. And we found out that I ended up having 3 bacterial infections from my first surgery in my back. Now, the reason why they did the second back surgery was because I had blood clots in my back, and I had a cyst, and I was retaining retaining fluid in my back that they had to remove. Well, I ended up having a third back surgery. My third back surgery, they did cultures. They found out that I had another bacterial infection that I obtained from the OR. So now I had 4 bacterial infections in my body, and I was fighting for my life. I was being treated with heavy antibiotic, and it was scary, but I knew God was with me. And throughout this time, I put my story on social media, and people were following my story and my journey through all my surgeries. And because of my story and because of my faith and my strength and my perseverance and my strong will, I inspired so many people. I inspired people that were going through maybe something similar. I inspired people that actually were going through addiction issues. I inspired people that were going through all kinds of issues, and they were hitting my DMs and telling me stories about how my perseverance and my strength.
Hmm.
I don't know what's happening, but I keep losing you guys. About how my perseverance and my strength was helping them. And I tell you what, that was the best medicine that I could possibly have, knowing that something I was going through was helping others.
Amen.
And at that moment, I believed strongly it was God's purpose and God's plan. I ended up having 4 total back surgeries, 5 total leg surgeries. My 4th back surgery was I had 50 cc's of fluid in my back that was causing spinal stenosis, which is why I went into the hospital. So they drained 50 cc's of spinal fluid or fluid from my back. So I wasn't back at point one again. I ended up staying in the hospital till the beginning of December. And when they released me, I went home. I still had these infections, bacterial infections in me. And the Center for Disease Control told me that I would have these infections for possibly up to a year. And yeah, that could be scary, but you know what? I was strong and I remained strong. When I left the hospital, I left on crutches. And I thought that I was on the road to recovery. Well, January 12th, I woke up paralyzed again from the waist down. I ended up back at the hospital. And they did several things. They did steroid treatments. They did steroid treatments before even doing MRIs. And finally, we did MRIs, we did CAT scans, and we saw a very long dark spot in my spinal cord. And we went in and we drained 16 cc's of this nasty dark fluid from my spinal cord. Well, that wasn't it. We found out that the hardware, when hardware being the spinal rods, the screws, and my artificial disc, they had the bacterial infections from my first surgery that I had back in August. So I had to go through a surgery where they removed all my spinal fusion rods, my screws, and my artificial disc. They had to do a full spinal cord washout and lumbar washout, and they had to put all brand new hardware back into my back. Well, the story doesn't end there. The infection is now in my bones. So for the remainder of my life, I have to live on antibiotics. Well, after surgery, we had some complications once again. I have impingements on my L3 and L4, L5, but now we can't do surgery on my back because if we do, we risk further infection. Now, during this whole time, since I've been in the hospital since January 12th, I have been sharing my story once again on a daily basis. And God has been using me to save lives and to help people going through hard times. And it's been nothing short of amazing. The stories that I get on a daily basis of how my story is helping people is the most utmost best feeling in the world. That God is using me through a hard time to help others. Now, 7 days ago, I ended up with a bacterial infection, and they told me, Lance, you have a 50% survival rate of staying alive. You're facing death. Now, that tops everything. I had sepsis in my leg and I almost died. They did a surgery on my leg and in my hospital room because there was no room in the OR, and I almost died there as well. Now here I am for the third time being told, Lance, you're going to die. Well, I never gave up my faith. And I knew God is with me. My perseverance stayed strong. They even asked me 7 days ago if I had a will. And I'm not going to lie, I got scared and I cried. But you know what? The next day I woke up with a strength that I can't explain.
Amen.
The bacterial infection I currently have is resistant to almost every antibiotic. And I have tried so many antibiotics over the last 7 days. And as of today, I'm so glad I get to be with you guys. We have found the right antibiotic to cure me. And now I'm going to cry. So I am on a heavy dose of antibiotic. My blood pressure 3 days ago dropped to 80/40. And my organs were shutting down. Guess what? My blood pressure is up now, and I am 95 over, I believe, 53. I am out of the danger zone. My organs are no longer shutting down. And just yesterday, I woke up with a ventilator down my throat because my oxygen levels had dropped to 0. And now here I am with you guys sharing my story. And I want you guys to know to never give up. Never give up. Your story is never over. Your story is never over until you are absolutely dead. And you know what? I am not going to die. I am going to live. And I am going to live for a long time. And I'm going to live to share this story with thousands of people. Not just you guys. My story is not done yet. I am not out of the hospital yet. Now, we had the surgery on my back. It's been about 78 days and I still can't walk. Right now, we are trying to cure the spasms in my legs. The spasms in my legs are preventing me from taking steps. All I can do is stand up and sit down. So not only am I fighting this bacterial infection that just blindsided me, I am fighting to be able to walk again. But I know I will walk again. I believe I will walk again, and I'm going to walk again. And it's all about faith. If I was able to walk out of this hospital in December on crutches, I will walk out of this hospital again maybe in a few weeks, maybe in a month, on crutches again. So I want you guys to know, and I don't know how long I've gone. I've probably gone way past 10 minutes. But I want you guys to know, and what I want you to take away from my story today is to never give up. Philippians 4:13 says, I can do all things through Christ who strengthens me. Every single day, turn to God. Every time you go to sleep and you have anxiety or fear, give it all to God before you go to sleep. Knowing that when you wake up, that you have God and you have faith and strength, because he is the good shepherd, he is the good physician, he is our rock, and he is our refuge. And he has been that for me this whole time in the hospital. And I want you guys to know, because this is the first time I've been able to share my story in front of a congregation like this, that your strength should always, and know that your strength always comes from God, and to never give up and persevere and have faith. Faith knowing that God can do miracles. And he's doing a miracle in me right now. And I am sharing it with you guys. And you guys might have somebody or know somebody that's going through the same thing. And I want you to be able to share my story with them. And I hope that it inspires them. And I hope that my story inspired you guys today. And I hope that if anyone or any of you guys are going through anything, big or small, that you know what? Not to give up and to be strong and be courageous and to have positive affirmations, knowing that you will make it another day. If you have any stress or financial burdens or anything, give it to God. Because if God can heal me, and trust me, I haven't worked in 8 months, and I've given all my financial burden to God. And you know what? Every single month, somehow my bills get paid, and my daughter, my 11-year-old daughter, gets taken care of. And I don't know how, and I don't know where it's going to come from. But you know what? God has supplied all my needs. So I am done now. I'm going to give it back to Pastor Floyd. I want to say thank you, Pastor Floyd, for giving me this opportunity to speak to all of you and to share my story. And I hope that you're inspired. And it was a blessing to share my story with you guys. Thank you, Pastor Floyd.